Sober driver, commit to staying sober. Besides, a DUI could cost you $10,000. Not exactly the best gift you could give yourself. Celebrate responsibly and remember to drive sober or get pulled over. This message brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Hi, Kevin Dalton here from the Unlimited Auto Wash. Rainy season is upon us. What a great time to join our $44.95 Unlimited Inside and Out Club and use any of our 6 locations. Find a location near you at unlimitautowashclub.com or call 561-WASH-ME-TOO.
It's the Get Holiday Ready sales event with Hank and Sam from the Ford crew. Today, a new shipment of inventory.
Hank, what's going on?
Another hauler full of new Ford trucks and SUVs, Sam.
So much SUV capability. Is that?
Ford F-Series, the best-selling trucks for 47 years. And a big selection means...
big savings?
Yep, which means...
it's the best time to buy?
Well done, Sam. And time for America to get holiday ready with Ford.
Based on 1977 to 2023 CY Industry reported total sales.
Hi, it's Evan Cohen from Unsportsmanlike. Today, it's NFL Week 15 and the playoffs are on the horizon. The Dolphins and Texans are live in Houston at 11. The Steelers and Eagles fly at 4. The Packers and Seahawks wrap up the night at 7:30. 3 games, 1 epic Sunday on ESPN 106.3.
What's up, y'all? It's Theo Dorsey, and the holiday season is here. You can give back the gift of golf at the park in West Palm Beach. For every $100 gift card you purchase, the park will donate $10 towards their Christmas For the Path program. If you're looking for the perfect gift for the golfer in your life, or even yourself, now is the time. Enjoy great golf while making the season brighter for kids who need it most. Swing by the park and let's tee up some holiday cheer together. The park is open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
ESPN 106.3.
WUUB Jupiter, a Good Karma Brands radio station. Huddle up.
66 Hitchx Vegas Flair. I'm one ready.
It's time to break down the boldest plays.
Let's go, baby. Boom.
Hardest hits. And the craziest stories from around the NFL.
Touchdown Tampa Bay. Fire the cannons.
This is Sunday Huddle with Colin Russo, presented by Hard Rock Bet.
It's the 15th day of Christmas, halfway through December, the 15th of December. Colin Russo, Kate Chumslin with you. It is Hard Rock. Nope, it is Sunday Huddle, presented by Hard Rock Bet on ESPN 106.3. We're live at the City Play Studios in downtown West Palm Beach. A packed Week 15 slate, especially in that later window on the NFL side of things. Playoff implications galore. You look anywhere and everywhere, and it seems like every team is playing an important game in that late window. We have it whole covered here. We got you for the next hour, 11 to 12 on Sunday Huddle. Gonna have a kid. First of all, how you doing today? Everything good?
I'm doing just fine this morning. We have too many games to talk about, Colin. I feel like we're gonna be rushing through everyone.
And it started last Thursday on Thursday Night Football between the San Francisco 49ers and the Los Angeles Rams in San Francisco in a rainy game on Amazon Prime. A game that had playoff implications because it was really the Niners' last-ditch effort to see if they could claw their way back into the postseason despite already being behind the 8 ball with their terrible division record. They come out, they basically lay an egg offensively. They were terrible, 6 points, losing 12-6. And the Los Angeles Rams moved to 8-6 and now put themselves in a position where they're likely going to have a win-in game against the Seattle Seahawks Week 18. But from what I've seen from the Niners, the questions have been, I guess, a little up and down in terms of how they should approach the next, 6 to 8 months' time. Now, the real question lies, it's not pressing right now, but you're going to have the conversation, is what do you need to do with Brock Purdy? What are you going to do about the outlook of this roster, which is top-heavy, which is older, veteran-ridden, and also quite expensive comparatively to a lot of the other teams in the NFL. And the reason it's been expensive is because you haven't had to pay your quarterback. You've been able to pay Brock Purdy pennies on the dollar, getting tenfold in actual value comparatively to paying the Christian McCaffreys, the Fred Warners, the Nick Bosas, the Brandon Ayuks of the world, the Trent Williamses. You could pay them top tier market-setting dollars. But on the flip side of things, you were able to because of no Purdy. Now Purdy, payday's up, and it's coming soon. This extension is looming, whether this season or next season. In your head, what should the Niners do here Do they bank on Purdy being cheaper? Do they roll the dice and see if he'll, take a low ball? Or do they set a market, do what every quarterback in the top 50% of the NFL has done, and reset that quarterback market with a looming salary increase?
5 years, $150 million.
So $30 million a year.
That's the contract.
That's less expensive than Baker Mayfield? Who's to say that Brock Purdy would accept that?
Brock Purdy, I think, is a man who likes playing for good teams. I don't think he wants to go rebuild another franchise on this mega contract and let the rest of the team suffer. I think Baker Mayfield, so whatever you want to do, like Baker Mayfield's being paid $33.3 million a year. And so Baker, I think, would be somewhere around there. Like that's kind of the range I was going for when I initially said the dollar amount.
In the
30s, like somewhere in the low to mid 30s, like whether you want to do it 30, 33, 35, somewhere around there. Because the thing is that Brock Purdy does his best when his team is really good around him.
He's a reflection of the players around him.
Yes, so he's not going to screw it up when you have good players, but I think it's also been determined that he's not necessarily going to bring up a team that has weaker talent around him.
Well, you saw it. Listen, I can't put Thursday night and pin it all on him because I think he is a good quarterback, and I think he does catch a lot of flack. And in terms of the right guy for the right system, I think Brock Purdy fits the bill with what Kyle Shanahan wants to do. You stick him out there with Isaac Guerrero and the Island of Misfit Toys in a very overweight and out of shape Deebo Samuel. I can't blame the guy for struggling. But to the same token, like you said, I think after 3 years, questionable years, where people don't really know what the conclusion on Brock Purdy is, I think the overarching umbrella that I think most people fall under is Brock Purdy can be really good when he's got a very, very good supporting system around him. Now, to that point, how many quarterbacks in the NFL is that not the case for? And it's probably in the single digits. So off of that alone, I am leaning towards the hesitant side on him just taking such a substantial bargain comparatively when, number one, they got him for super cheap for the first 4 years of his contract. And number two, they got to a Super Bowl and he played well in the game with him. And they made a playoff run and he got hurt and then they struggled. So there's proof in the pudding that when I'm here, we succeed. And when I'm not here, we struggle. And there's also proof in the pudding that, like, when I'm here, we are knocking on the door of a Super Bowl. Why should he walk in? I'm just playing devil's advocate.
You're good. And I also
Why should he walk into John Lynch's office and say, all right, so you could set the market with McCaffrey. You could set the market with Trent Williams. You could close to set the market with Brandon Ayuk. You could set the market with Warner. But you can't do it with me?
I think that's going to be more of what the agent is saying. I just keep hearing quotes from Brock Purdy and listening to interviews. He doesn't strike me as the guy who's going to do that. He strikes me as the guy who's like, hey, Lynch, thank you for getting those guys. You guys take care of me on what you need to and keep getting me those guys.
He comes from the Brady cloth. It's probably the chip on the shoulder, late round pick, end of the draft. He realizes that a lot of it relies on the outer source of your talent and your input.
He's not playing the fairness issue game.
The players union, the agents, they want to set the market. And this is just how the NFL works.
Yep.
I thought Trevor Lawrence would be the same thing. I thought Trevor Lawrence is somebody that would take his $40 million and walk. And that ended up not being the case because a lot of the times when you could do it, you should do it. And all the quarterback, what example is he setting for the other NFL quarterbacks when he goes below probably what he's worth in favor of the team? It hurts the other guys, at least in the eyes of the players union.
Yes.
It hurts the other guys when they try to negotiate because then their general manager's like, oh, hold on a second. Brock Purdy took a big pay cut so the team is good. Why can't you do that? And then all of a sudden, either they look bad or they're behind the eight ball in their contract negotiations just because Brock Purdy would take a substantial pay cut. Now, let's flip it to the other side of things. If Brock Purdy is in the realm of the $50, $60 million range, even with a looming salary cap increase, is he worth that price tag if it ever were to come to that?
So I'm looking at the other guys who are currently being paid because when you play this game, you obviously have to go into what the rest of the market is saying. How many of these, let's just go through the top like 5 or 6, and you tell me, Colin, whether you think these guys are worth their contract. Because there's something to be said for, hey, I should be paid like my peers, and my peers themselves are already overpaid.
Now, there's a difference before we start. There's a difference between worth the contract and worth the price. But go ahead.
So Dak Prescott obviously has his $60 million a year.
It's a high price. I think he's worth it,
Okay,
personally.
yeah. No, I agree with that. Joe Burrow, 55.
Yes.
Jordan Love, 55.
Jury's out. You probably had to pay him.
Yep, I agree. So because you sat him on your bench,
You had to pay. You want to do it that way? Fine.
Yes.
But you make your bed and you have to pay him early.
No problem. Trevor Lawrence, 55.
Jury's out. Probably not worth the price, worth the contract.
Tua Tagovailoa, 53.1.
Not worth the price, worth the contract.
Jared Goff, 53.
In my opinion, worth the price and the contract.
Yep, me too. Justin Herbert, 52.5.
Worth the price, worth the contract.
Lamar Jackson, 52.
Worth the price, worth the contract.
Jalen Hurts, 51.
Worth the contract, not the price.
And so that's all of the guys in the 50s.
Yeah.
So low 50s, honestly, isn't saying too much for Brock
True,
Purdy.
but a lot of those guys signed it 2 years ago.
Yes.
And you're just going to keep leapfrogging. The guys we should be really talking about is the Love, the Tua, and the Lawrence, the guy who recently set the market. I understand the point. But there's 2 ways to look at this. Is Brock Purdy going to take a team-friendly deal when everybody else on his roster didn't? And the Niners have always had trouble getting these guys on the field for training camp due to contract negotiations. So it's not like they're used to this. They always have to deal with Trent Williams coming in late, Brandon Ayuk sitting out, Deebo Samuel having problems. They have always had to deal with this. All of a sudden, this is going to be, sunshine and rainbows for getting Brock Purdy under contract. It's a conversation to be had. Is he worth a high price tag? It remains to be seen. I think you got to pay him. Some people are under the impression that, the Niners got him Mr. Irrelevant in the end of the draft. They could do it again. Hold on. Niners also drafted Trey Lance 3rd overall, and that exploded in flames. Quarterback's probably a 40% hit rate. I wouldn't roll the dice with that. You got a guy who works with the system and the coach. Pay him. I'm not sure if you pay him top dollar. Avoid it if you can. I agree. But I'm very curious to see how those negotiations are going to go. It sounds like they're going to pay him, and then negotiations are ongoing. That's just based on what reports are saying. But we roll on. That was Thursday Night Football. That's what's going on with Brock Purdy. Now we look ahead to what's going on in this packed Sunday slate on Week 15 on Sunday Huddle on Hard Rock Bet. That was Kate Chumson, Colin Russo here. First, I got to tell you about our pals over at Anajar and Levine. If you've been in a car accident, truck accident, suffered a slip and fall, my friends Mark Anajar and Glenn Levine at Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys are here to fight for you. They won't charge you unless you win. They work tirelessly to get you the maximum compensation that you deserve. Why would you settle for just any attorney? They're the best in the business. Demand Anajar and Levine today. That's the Anajar and Levine difference. Take just one phone call to take back control of your life. Don't wait. Call for your free consultation today. You got to call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Don't waste any time at getting the top-of-the-line accident attorneys in the South Florida area. Take back control now with Anajar and Levine. So on this Week 15 slate, we got a packed late window. The early window absolutely stinks other than that Dolphin-Texan game. We'll do a little of that a little later in the program. But I think everybody's eyes are looking at this packed 4 o'clock slate. 5 games, 4 of them have major playoff implications, maybe even 5. But to start, that Buccaneer-Charger game, of course, 2 teams that are fighting for Chargers in the playoffs, Buccaneers to win their division. And with Atlanta in free fall, that's a big game for Tampa Bay. But my eyes are on a different game. Everybody's eyes are on that Bills-Lions game, the Steeler-Eagle game. Fair. 2 top-tier teams. People want to see the best duke it out in tough environments. And Detroit and Philadelphia are up there. We'll get into that. Great games. We know they're great games. My eyes are at the Mile High Stadium. Colts, Broncos. Colts are at 6-7. Broncos are at 8-5. Why do I care so much about this game? Because I'm starting to believe that this game is a win and in game into the postseason, or win and put yourself in a position to control your own destiny to get in. Each of these teams are on the outside looking in their divisions, but each of these teams are also well in the hunt of a wild card spot. Now, the Broncos still have to deal with the Chargers, so that's fair. And the Chargers have an easier schedule. They finished with the Patriots and the Raiders. So the Chargers have an easier schedule, which is why I'm not necessarily grouping the Chargers into this. Colts, on the other hand, playing in Mile High today. They're 6-7. Their last 3 games, Titans, Jags, Giants. Probably the 3 worst teams in the NFL, and with major questions at quarterback, defensively, all over the place. 3 disasters of teams to finish off the year. They could go 3-0 there. So there's 2 games back of Denver. Denver's 8-5. They're 6-7. If the Colts win today, they sit a game back of Denver for that wild card spot. Now, the Broncos, on the other hand, they don't have the Titans, Jags, and Giants. They have the Broncos. They have the Chargers on a short week on the road on Thursday Night Football. That's coming up this week. A game that got flexed in, so they got screwed with travel. Their second road Thursday night game, keep in mind. They play at the Bengals, and they finish off with the Chiefs. Now, they might get lucky. The Chiefs might not need the game. But the Bengals and the Chargers probably will. And even if you think the Bengals are out, they're still going to be a tough out whenever you play them, wherever you are. They are very well in the mix of dropping one of those 3 games. If that's the case, Colts then would be tied. They would have the head-to-head tiebreaker, and they would get the playoff spot over Denver. This is a huge game today.
This is not necessarily the most exciting offensive matchup. You're not going to get all the bells and whistles for it, but I agree with you. This has to be the most fascinating game of
I want implications.
What it's going to mean.
That's what I want.
For the whole AFC. Absolutely, I 100% agree with you. And I'm not necessarily, like me, I'm a Texans fan. I'm scared about the Colts coming at hardback when it comes to the division because the Texans are also 8-5 as well. But when it comes to that wild card race, you've got the Ravens, the Chargers, and the Broncos all 8-5 with the Colts, who, by the way, the Dolphins also at 6-7, but the Broncos have that game, or the Colts have that game too. So if the Colts can win this one, they also have the Broncos and the Dolphins. And when you look at how their schedule's going, you broke it down absolutely perfectly, Colin. This is massive for both of these franchises.
This is a win, and then you control your own destiny.
Yes.
If the Broncos win this game, then the Broncos are most likely okay for getting into that spot because they knocked them a game back with only 3 to play. And that would be a 3-game lead with 3 games to play. Denver's going to win a game. But on the other side of things, it makes things very, very interesting if the Colts start breathing down the neck of the Broncos a little bit with that easy schedule to finish off the year. And I didn't include the Chargers because they finished with the Patriots and the Raiders. 2 of those 5 teams that are the god-awful dumpster fires in the NFL goes probably the Raiders, Titans, Jags, Giants, and the Patriots are lingering probably a step above, but still a mess. So off of that, this is going to be a fascinating finish to the year, but I want teams fighting for their seasons, which is why I'm very interested in this Colt-Bronco game. Now, we know how hard Mile High is to play. It's a tough stadium. It's a tough home environment, and Denver is a very underrated foe. And the thing about Denver is they're the beneficiaries of a very easy schedule the last 3 weeks. They've beaten the Falcons, the Raiders, and the Browns. And it all wasn't clean. And but winners of 3 in a row nonetheless. And Bo Nix is trending upward. That defense is trending upward. The Colts, on the other hand, 6-7, have had their ups and downs all year long. You know, they lost to the Lions. They got killed, but it's the Lions. They lost to the Bills. You lose to the Bills, that happens. And they beat the Jets on a last-second drive. And they beat the Patriots in emphatic fashion last week as well. So they win tight.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
They're both coming off of buys.
Both coming off of buys. So off of that, this game is fascinating. Now, is this a game that the Colts can win? Or is that emphatic home environment? Is that kind of the magic surrounding the rookie quarterback, Bo Nix, and that great defense? Are the Colts sort of a step below in terms of what the Broncos have to offer? What do you think is going to happen today in that game in Denver?
So according to Hard Rock Bet, it's the Broncos -4 right now. And I think that's a really good line because I think the Broncos should be favored by just over a field goal. My opinion, I think the Broncos should have this fairly easily. The Colts have been teetering for the games by the end of it. Like, they can't get off to a good start, I should say. They're always playing in these tight games where they come back last second.
And they've played tight all year long.
Broncos know how to come out firing. Broncos, if they can have their offense clicking, can immediately jump out to a massive lead. I think they're going to be able to control their offense. Bo Nix should be able to have some time to rest. He and head coach Sean Payton should be able to strategize this game well because I think they also understand what this game means to them. I expect the Broncos to control this game from start to finish. Anthony Richardson struggling in that environment with that defense. I would probably even take the Broncos by a touchdown.
Now, there's something to be said about his arm strength in the thin air because he's going
the deep ball will be open.
He is going to be firing that ball downfield like you wouldn't believe. To better or worse, that is what Anthony Richardson does. At hell or high water, he is going to launch it about 70 yards 3-4 times throughout that game. Now, I'm on the other side of this. I think the Broncos are going to win, but I think this is going to be a game decided within a field goal. And I think the Colts, there's something about teams that play desperate. And whether the Shane Steichen can get that team into desperation mode, I think he will because I think he's an underrated coach. Desperation mode is a very dangerous tool. And especially in the NFL, when the Broncos, they need the game, but it's not as important as it is for the Colts. Colts cannot fall 3 games back. And on the other side of things, Denver can probably afford a loss here. Off of that alone, I would say that desperation mode that the Colts probably will bring with them off of a bye week will be very apparent early on. Now, Anthony Richardson almost can't help himself. He's going to have a low completion percentage. He's going to have 2 or 3 head-scratching turnovers, but he's going to have 3 or 4 wow plays. And it's a matter of if they can protect him and if they can keep the game close late game. They've shown an ability to be able to stay calm in a tight game. Denver, is, like you said, is better suited when they're firing early and their defense can play from ahead. That is when they're better off. So I think you're going to learn a lot in that first half. I think the Colts are going to come in and going to try to muck this game up a little bit, slow it down, because it favors them in the long run. Keep it closer on the road. Better favors you as the game rolls along. Off of that alone, I think the Colts are going to play really, really tough here. Desperation mode is an elite tool in the NFL. Watch the Colts do that today. Don't listen to anybody else. It's not Bills, Lions. Colts, Broncos, 4:25 in Denver on CBS. That, to me, might be a win and control your own destiny to the playoffs. Major implications in that one. Of course, there's implications on the other games, of course, with the Eagles-Steeler game and winning the division, and then the Lion game, of course, with staying ahead of the Vikings in their division. Whole lot to do. We'll get into all those games next. We'll also do a little Fantasy Football Factory. Fantasy Football playoffs are upon us, so you're going to need to know who you're going to ride with in that flex. Cade and I have got you covered. Stick around for it. Sunday Huddle, ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Bet live with Hard Rock Bet. Real-time wagering till the very last play. Missing the kickoff doesn't mean all bets are off.
Delay a game on the guy who hasn't bet yet.
Sometimes you just know your team is going to come back. There's sportsbook for every kind of player.
Hard Rock Bet. Roll with us.
Get up to $100 back if your first bet doesn't win. Payable and bonus bet up to $100, not a cash offer. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Let's be honest. If your performance in the bedroom feels more like uh-oh than whoa, you're not alone. But don't worry. We've got just the thing for you. Hexus MD's new Performance Blend. No awkward doctor visits, no prescriptions or crazy side effects. Just a powerful, easy-to-use pill that gets you back in the game. Hexus MD's new Performance Blend works in just 15 minutes and it's stronger than the competition. Use discount code ESPN50 for 50% off your first order. Don't wait. Visit HEXISMD.com.
Business owners, are your employees driving you nuts? Is money tight? Or have you just poured your heart and soul into your business and now it's time to retire and just relax? At Transworld Business Advisors, they have buyers from all over the world ready to buy your business now. Call for a confidential conversation about your business's current value. 561-203-5121. That's 561-203-5121 or visit tworld.com today.
Hi, I'm Scott Smith with Smith Ball Baez and Prather, Florida Injury Lawyers. As you have likely seen and heard, law firm advertising is at an all-time high. Attorney ads seem to be part of every radio and TV commercial segment. Some firms are even using paid actors and actresses to speak for them. At Smith Ball Baez and Prather, we know that the decision to hire a law firm should never be based on advertisements alone. It is our past results and many positive 5-star reviews that we encourage you to read at smithball.com to learn more about our law firm. We have board-certified lawyers. We have lawyers listed in the best lawyers in America and in super lawyers. But most importantly, we have experienced lawyers located right here in Palm Beach County and the Treasure Coast that are ready to be your advocate and your voice, and fully prepared to start fighting for your legal rights today. Our purpose, legal power. Our mission, huge results. If you've been injured, the lawyers at Smith Ball Baez and Prather will help. Call us at 500-HELP, 500-HELP. With Smith Ball Baez and Prather, help is just a local phone call away. Offices Palm Beach Gardens, Boca Raton, and Port St. Lucie.
Does your business leave a lasting impression? Attractive, eye-catching signs help you stand out from the crowd and create a strong brand identity. Our team at Signorama West Palm are experts in helping your business get noticed and get effective signage in front of your potential customers. Our team can turn your blank windows or plain vehicles into money-making branding machines by drawing customers' attention to your business. So if you're looking to leave that lasting impression, call us 561-687-7993 or visit signoramawpb.com.
If you're like me, you're looking for a place to track your fantasy football team through the playoffs. Make Twin Peaks your fantasy headquarters. Whether your fantasy team wins or loses, you still end up a winner with eats, drinks, scenic views, and Twin Peaks 29-degree ice-cold beer. Enjoy some made-from-scratch favorites while taking in all the action. Can't make it in for the game? That's fine. Come for the man-sized $5 happy hour drafts and enjoy select appetizers as well. The ultimate guys lodge for fantasy football is Twin Peaks.
Let's go scatter to west, right, tight, F left, 372 Y stick, Z spot.
This is Sunday Huddle with Colin Russo, presented by Hard Rock Bet.
You heard it. Sunday Huddle presented by Hard Rock Bet on ESPN 106.3. Colin Russo, Cade Chumslin with you at the City Play Studios in downtown West Palm Beach. Got you to 11 o'clock, a packed Week 15 on the NFL side ahead of us, especially that late window, that 4:25. 5 games, 4 of them major playoff implications, even that Cardinal game. So if you want to say 5, you can as well. And then a great Sunday night football game between the Green Bay Packers and the Seattle Seahawks coming up tonight. Whole lot of football, whole lot to digest. We got you covered here as we're breaking it all down. In the meantime of things, Hard Rock Bet. Entering the holiday season, of course, you spent money on gifts and you did this. That's all behind you now. You should be ahead on the gift giving. You should have all that in the checkbook, all set. Don't even worry about it. You realize, though, when you look at the credit card statement, I got a little bit more to spend this month in my budget. Why not throw a little bit on what's going on in that Denver game today? Week 15 on Hard Rock Bet. Now you've seen the second half of the football season. You kind of have the sense of all the identities of all these teams. It's time to get started on Hard Rock Bet today. Even if you're not a big-time bettor and like putting a ton of money on each game, put a little on it and make a parlay. Get better odds out of it. Of course, on National Tight Ends Day, in Week 8, a bettor turned a $20 bet into over $145,000 on 8 different tight ends. There's to score touchdowns in their games. On National Tight Ends Day, who would have thought of that? That's the type of bet you look, you're like, I should have thought of that earlier. The magic mojo of it, there's something there. But parlays are so available, even if you don't want to go through the lengths of creating one, you check out the Discover page, and there's so many different community-based parlays that are made, and you could follow and tail in just a few short taps. Such an accessible app, so easy to get involved. Go download it today on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, or go to hardrock.bet to get started today. December, of course, a huge month with a big holiday slate of NFL football, and you got the college football playoff coming up next week. Good college basketball was yesterday. You get the NBA, you got the Emirates Cup, and full-fledged. You're going to be watching these games anyway. You might as well sprinkle a little action on it. Get started on Hard Rock Bet today. If you try it now, you get up to $100 back in bonus bets if your first bet does not hit. That first bet can be a parlay. It can be a prop. It can be the over. Whatever you like to bet in a game you choose. You either win your first bet or get the same amount of money you bet back as a bonus bet. Try it today. It's offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida. The wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Call 1-888-ADMIT. Kate, are you in the fantasy football playoffs?
I am. I'm in 2 different ones already.
Now, with 2 different leagues, do you have overlapping teams or are there conflicts of interest?
I have overlapping teams.
For the most part.
For the most part, yes.
All right. And so I'm sure you've done your research this week in terms of who you should play and who you shouldn't play, right?
I have. I've been putting in the work for this one. And it's also weird because one of them is a 2 weeks per round and one of them's a 1 week per round.
Interesting. So I have a 2 weeks per round too. This is the second week of the first round matchup against the best team in the league for me. So I've done a lot of research into this as well. Let's do a little Fantasy Football Factory presented by Hexus MD. So Fantasy Football Factory, presented by Hexus MD. It's your partner in easy and effective weight management methods. All you got to do is visit HEXISMD.com. That's HexusMD.com to get started today. Fantasy Football Factory is where Kate and I go back and forth, give 3 streaming options that you should consider for fantasy football playoffs now upon us. The decision of whether you start somebody or bench somebody will determine whether you win your league or not and get access to that big pot of gold at the end of the tunnel. Cade, I'll start us off. I got an interesting one. Commanders defense. A team that has had a solid defense, middle of the pack. I'm a big fan of streaming defenses. Play it matchup based. Who do the Commanders have this week? The New Orleans Saints. What's different about the New Orleans Saints? No Derek Carr this week. So, who are they starting? Jake Haener. Jake Haener, of course, the second-year man who, have you seen the photo shoot that has gone over social media?
I haven't.
So when he was first signed or in the offseason or something, have you seen the movie Zoolander with Ben Stiller? It's like the big photo shoot type face. That's the type of face this guy had during his actual pictures. It's a joke. I looked at this guy, I'm like, I cannot take him seriously as an adversary. This defense has definitely printed it out in their board meetings. They're going to make Jake Haener pay today at quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. Give me the Washington Commanders defense, a good streaming option if you're still looking for a defense in Week 15 on the fantasy side of things.
And you're totally correct. Defenses should, at this time, essentially be played week in and week out, depending on the matchup. I love it so much. The one that I actually put on my fantasy lineup this week is a wide receiver coming out of Carolina. I'm talking about Adam Thielen. Now, you really haven't heard his name because he's been hurt all year long.
He's played well recently.
But the last 2 weeks, he's gone for 23.9 fantasy points and 19.2 fantasy points. One of those games being over 100 yards receiving. Bryce Young playing well. They're favored for the first time in 34 games against the Dallas Cowboys. I think Thielen goes off again.
Interesting. I'm going to shift to the aforementioned my favorite game of the week, Colts Broncos. Jaleel McLaughlin. Jaleel McLaughlin has had double-digit carries in just 2 games this season. One, I believe, in week 2, and the other one the week before the bye. So, coming off his most productive day of the season, and in a game that I personally think is going to be slow-moving, running the football, establishing pace, establishing tempo, field position game, I think Jaleel McLaughlin, I know it's sort of a 3-headed monster that they use in that backfield.
Yep.
But I think McLaughlin's going to be used early and often. Give me Jaleel McLaughlin against the Colts today, playing in Mile High Stadium.
Yeah, and you and Rizzo sure don't like Williams back there for sure. I'm going to go with another wide receiver. I'm going to go with your boy Brian Thomas Jr. We've had him in this factory before. He's having a pretty good season so far. He had double-digit targets for the first time ever 2 weeks ago, and then he backed it up again last week.
Yeah, he's had a great season.
He's Mac Jones' favorite target so far. They're playing the Jets at home. Jacksonville, for some reason, finds the click when they're at home. For some things offensively, I'm not talking wins. I'm just saying offensive production makes it happen in Jacksonville. I like Brian Thomas Jr. today.
Yeah, I'm a little annoyed that they won last week in a meaningless game against Tennessee. But one thing that Mac Jones said post-game is Brian Thomas is the first receiver I've ever been around that demands the football. And he is gets angry when you do not get him the ball. So off of that alone, Mac Jones is going to go to Brian Thomas early and often. I like that play quite a bit. I've said this guy before on my Fantasy Football Factory. I'm going to say him again because I'm starting him in my fantasy playoffs, and I was up and down on it. It's Christian Watson of the Green Bay Packers. Christian Watson has been the biggest boomer bust product, I think, in the NFL on the receiving side of things because he only gets like 5 targets a game. But
they're always
these
like
targets
70-yard
are
bombs.
50 yards downfield, and there's a 30% chance that it will hit him right in the midst, and he will drop it. So there's a chance that he drops it and chances that he doesn't even get the targets. But against the Lions, basically a week and a half ago, Christian Watson played very, very well. 7 targets, had 114 yards receiving, did not have a touchdown, but had a crucial 55-yard reception early in the second half that kind of catapulted that Packer run that gave him the lead. But Christian Watson at Seattle today, I think the Packers are starting to realize that offensively, they're not as methodical as probably they'd like to be. So they rely on a big play here and there just to spark that offense. The receivers are not as reliable as people want to give them credit for. It's that running game that is super reliable. But when people start to kind of churn in on the Josh Jacobs train, it's easy to shut that down. They need to stretch out that defense. They're going to use Christian Watson in that process. That is going to be my guy that I'm riding with today. Christian Watson of the Green Bay Packers.
I've had him on one of my fantasy teams all year long.
He's a pain. He's a pain.
I've had no idea, so I'll take note of your advice today. My last one's going to be a running back who you probably have been starting him week in and week out, but in recent weeks, maybe put him on your bench if you got better options. I'm going with running back James Conner from the Arizona Cardinals, a guy who you thought would be a clear RB2 at the start of the year. Really has not lived up to the expectations, especially finding the end zone. I believe he only has 5 touchdowns on the year. But when this team is winning, he always plays better. They've got an easy game at home against the New England Patriots in a do-or-die game. Thank you so much. NFC West really starting to clutter up with other teams. Arizona needs it. I think James Conner has a good game.
Arizona needs help, too, with everybody else in the division now that they've lost to Seattle twice. And last week was a pathetic game. I thought Arizona would really come out and play well, and they have not. So I have to bash Arizona a little bit there. They still have the Rams, so they've already beaten the Rams. So if they get 2 on them, who knows? But Arizona has bothered me quite a bit based on how they've sort of been erratic and inconsistent throughout the whole year, but I'm interested in that. Maybe they get that, and they're better when that running game is clicking.
Yes.
Kyler Murray especially, much better when that running game is clicking because he's a great play-action quarterback. But that is our Fantasy Football Factory presented by Hexus MD on Sunday Huddle presented by Hard Rock Bet on ESPN 106.3. Now, continuing on, let's get this out of the way. You're a Texan fan.
Yes.
When we were talking about this Colt game earlier in the segment, earlier in the show, you kept mentioning the fact that they're still in the mix for the division.
Sadly.
Now, they're 2 games back of where Houston is, and Houston has beaten them twice. But I think that goes to show less about the actual implications and the logistics about them making the playoffs and more so about where your confidence is with what you've seen from the Texans as of recently. Now, the Texans are coming off a bye here, and let's call it like we see it. It hasn't been pretty. So playing a Dolphin team that we keep mentioning this is the theme of the show today. Do or die game. Dolphins, in a lot of ways, this is a do or die game. This is an important game for them to win, but this is also an important game for Houston. From your perspective, are you confident in Houston's ability to churn out, and they have a tough schedule to finish off the year, churn out 2 of 4 to finish off the year?
No.
Wow.
I'm going to be dead honest. I'm not super confident. Do I think the Texans will win today? Am I picking them when we do our Blitz the Book segment next up? I probably will. It's only -2.5 right now in favor of the Texans. I think they can squeak out a field goal off of bye. The only time they've had a long week all year long was when they went up against the New York Jets. The game after that was against the Detroit Lions, which they took them to a last-second field goal. So they really stepped up when they had time to regroup, and I think that'll help them a lot.
They blew that game, too. They blew that line game.
That's the theme, my guy. A 64-plus point differential in the first half. A negative 44-point differential in the second half.
How about that?
It's 2 different teams. CJ Stroud has thrown 1 touchdown in the second half of his last 6 games.
You know why it's easy to get back on them? Because they don't run. Joe Mixon has played well, so give me that. But they don't have a methodical offense that could give you that 9-minute drive.
No, they're the big play drives.
They're
Absolutely.
big play drives. And it's easy to come back against that because all of a sudden, if it goes dry for 3-4 drives in a row, all of a sudden you get 4 possessions in a 9-minute span.
And I feel bad for bashing on Bobby Slowick, but the play calling...
Oh, he deserves a lot of the bash. Because we talked about this earlier in the year. They are so reliant on hero ball from C.J. Stroud and making something happen 3rd and long.
When I see a game start out with 6 straight passes and all of them are incompletions, I don't know what to say. When you go so fast on a 3-and-out and you give the ball back so immediately,
it feels like a turnover.
It kills the drive.
It feels like a turnover.
It kills the momentum. It kills the stadium. The home crowd has lost it with this team as soon as they keep giving the ball back so easily. And even in their touchdown drives, they're getting it within 5 minutes because they're getting the ball down the field so well because it's either the light switch is on or the light switch is off. And there's no in between right now for the Texans. So I just saw a Miami Dolphins team that went back and forth with a rival New York Jets team, take them to overtime, and then methodically work themselves down the field to score the game-winning touchdown. I don't trust Houston to stop that team in the second half. Now, defensively-wise, this is a fantastic team. I think this is a top 10 defense in the NFL. They're getting at the quarterback like nobody's business. They've got a few injuries, and Al-Shaair is gone for his suspension.
It's clear that they could punch above their weight class, but the weird thing about them is for some reason, I think a lot of this has to do with the play calling. I think a lot of this has to do with also that offensive line is not playing well.
Oh,
and it's been terrible. And any quarterback in the history of the NFL will struggle when the offensive line is not playing well.
Yes.
So off of that, that's part of the reason why C.J. Stroud has sort of regressed, if you want to put it that way. I don't like kind of declaring him regressed as a quarterback versus not. He's not playing well in the moment because the offensive line is not playing well, and they've had a ton of injuries offensively. But defense has played well. You're 100% right. They've just been so weird because why can't you ever come back against, I mean, listen, maybe not fair because the Chicago Bears did it on Thanksgiving, but it's very hard to come back against Detroit. Why? Because Detroit perfectly executes the method, their process of their drives. They run it here. They run it there. They get an easy completion here on the outside. They steal this first down. 9 yards here, 5 yards there. Texans are, try to pass the ball 42 yards downfield, incomplete, 2nd and 10. Then all of a sudden they're trying to do like an inside zone that gets for 2 back. Now it's 3rd and 12. And now all of a sudden you got C.J. Stroud running around the pocket trying to figure out something to happen, and then you punt. So there's no methodical. What's the methodicalness? It's not a methodicalness to their. I'll use that. To their offense, and
there is no method to the madness right now. There's no method right now.
There's no process.
But also
there's no machine. There's no machine.
CJ's also just missing good open plays.
Well.
Yeah, he's missing slant routes.
The game's not easy for him right now. The game is not easy.
No, it's not. And he's still a franchise quarterback. I'm not going to say that, but he's looking more like a rookie this year than he was last year. It's just really sad to see, honestly. I can't even get mad at the guy anymore. I'm like, he just needs to start playing ball.
If you start questioning C.J. Stroud and his ability to lead that team, I swear to God, it's just it goes to show I know, but the short leash of the nature of the NFL quarterback. Look how Bryce Young turned it around, and he was much worse than C.J. Stroud was earlier on in his career. This stuff happens. Ups and downs, ebbs and flows, happens. We continue on the program. We got a packed 4 o'clock slate today. We'll get into some of the big games coming up next as we blitz the book. Denver Broncos taking on the Colts. You got the Buffalo Bills taking on the Detroit Lions in Detroit. And you got, of course, the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Eagles in Philadelphia. The Steelers starting off a very tough stretch of their schedule. And the Texans, of course, taking on a very tough stretch of their schedule, as well as they have the Ravens and the Chiefs. Is that what it was?
It's the Ravens and the Chiefs.
Because they had that Saturday and Wednesday game where the Steelers, them, and the Chiefs and the Ravens have that
4 of those teams.
And then they flip-flop.
Yes.
So that's going to be very interesting. Texans need this game. A lot of games. Let's start picking against the spread coming up next as we blitz the book. Sunday Huddle, presented by Hard Rock Bet on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
You've got so many chances to win big on Hard Rock Bet. Even a small bet can bring in that serious cash. All you need is $1 and a dream.
Unbelievable. They've hit the parlay.
Let's go! Whoa!
Big payouts for every kind of player.
Hard Rock Bet. Roll with us.
Get up to $100 back if your first bet doesn't win. Payable and bonus bet up to $100, not a cash offer. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Hey, Florida drivers, the holiday season is upon us. When celebrating, always plan ahead and know all your options. If you drink, don't get behind the wheel. Instead, designate a sober driver or catch a ride service. And if you are the designated sober driver, commit to staying sober. Besides, a DUI could cost you $10,000. Not exactly the best gift you could give yourself. Celebrate responsibly and remember to drive sober or get pulled over. This message brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Theo here. EDS is yes. You've heard me say that over and over. So I need you to keep this website in mind too. EDSIsYes.com. For the most trusted AC specialist here in Palm Beach County, EDSIsYes.com. For 24/7 support, EDS is a trained comfort specialist. It's hard to stop a train. There are so many reasons why EDS is yes. When it comes to your air conditioning and plumbing, EDSIsYes.com. That's EDSIsYes.com.
Exciting news, West Palm Beach. X Golf is now open and ready for you. Experience top-of-the-line simulators, perfect your swing, and enjoy a full bar and delicious bites. Whether you're a pro or just starting out, X Golf has something for everyone. Rain or shine, we've got you covered with virtual courses from around the world. Book your tee time today. Come visit us at X Golf West Palm Beach, where the game never stops. Visit on Instagram at XGolfWPB for more information.
Introducing Questionable Call with Josh Cohen, and it's exclusively on YouTube, where JC is breaking down the most viral clips in sports and entertainment.
Because every day above ground is a good day, some are just more questionable than others.
Subscribe to Questionable Call on YouTube right now. New episodes drop every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Anything else is out of the question. Presented by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys, Twin Peaks, St. Lucie Battery and Tire, and Bud's Chicken and Seafood. Yeah, chicken and seafood.
It's the Get Holiday Ready sales event with Hank and Sam from the Ford crew. Today, a new shipment of inventory.
Hank, what's going on?
Another hauler full of new Ford trucks and SUVs, Sam.
So much SUV capability. Is that?
Ford F-Series, the best-selling trucks for 47 years. And a big selection means...
Big savings?
Yep, which means...
It's the best time to buy?
Well done, Sam. And time for America to get holiday ready with Ford.
Based on 1977 to 2023 CY Industry reported total sales.
Imagine a place where the sun is always shining, the drinks are ice cold, and the food is bursting with flavor. Welcome to Hurricane Grill and Wings, where locals and visitors alike gather to weather this storm we call life. You can escape here anytime you like. Today's forecast, hot, crispy wings with a 100% chance of frothy beers. Later, we're predicting big burgers and seafood tacos moving in. Escape the ordinary. Visit hurricanewings.com to find your nearest spot and enjoy a taste of summer all year round.
There's something about the people of Florida that makes us go the extra mile. At FPL, we're working every single day to ensure you have electricity you can count on, using cost-effective, diverse energy sources to deliver reliable electricity while keeping bills as low as possible. For nearly a century, FPL has been here, working for you every single day. See how at fpl.com/value.
Daisy right, Sully, blitz right, Travolta right, pumpkin left, alert Charlotte left, don't worry.
This is Sunday Huddle with Colin Russo, presented by Hard Rock Bet.
Sunday Huddle presented by Hard Rock Bet on ESPN 106.3. Colin Russo, Kate Chumslin with you at the City Play Studios in downtown West Palm Beach. A beautiful Sunday morning as we gear up for Week 15 of NFL action, which has a lighter side 1 o'clock slate, but a dynamite 425 slate in terms of playoff implicating matchups. You got Denver taking on the Colts. You got the Bills taking on the Broncos. You got the Steelers taking on the Eagles. You got the Buccaneers taking on the Chargers. And, of course, finishing off on Sunday Night Football with the Packers taking on the Seahawks at Lumen Field in Seattle. Should be a fun one there. But in the meantime, we got to go through and we got to actually put our money where our mouths are and put a little action on this game. Thanks to our friends over at Hard Rock Bet. It's time for us to blitz the book, presented by Hard Rock Bet. We're spoiled right now with so much NFL football and just so much sports to enjoy as the holidays are coming up upon us pretty quickly here, especially with bowl season too. There's no better time to get started on Hard Rock Bet than today, than this time of the year, because there's so much to sprinkle some action on and have a little extra fun. Go get started today. Go download it on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, or go to hardrock.bet to get started today. There's so many different props you could bet when it comes to football, basketball, points per game. You can do player props in terms of receptions, first touchdown, during touchdown, anytime touchdown, any of that. Live betting, also have it available on the Hard Rock Bet app. You can check out the Discover page too. They have a bunch of promos if you want to get a little better value out of your parlays. If you want to put together a parlay or if you want to bet straight up, you could do that. It's so easy to get involved. It's got the sophistication that the experienced player really desires in their sports book, but also it's the simplicity side that makes it so accessible for the newer player. So it caters to both sides. It's time to get started. Go download it today. It's a whole lot of fun. We love Hard Rock Bet and everything and all the cool lines that they give us. We'll give our player prop team parlay coming up at the end of this segment. But try it now. Get up to $100 back in bonus bets. If your first bet does not win, that first bet can be a parlay. It can be a prop. Can be the over, whatever you like to bet. In a game you choose, you either win your first bet or get the same amount you bet back as a bonus bet. It's Hard Rock Bet. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida. The wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned by gambling? Call 1-888-ADMIT-IT. So, Cade, you have the numbers in front of you. We've been blitzing the book for a number of weeks now, and you've been tracking it. So, what do we have here? What are we at?
We are at 83 to 76. I'm winning just in total wins. I haven't been counting losses. So just in picks that we've made happen, I'm at 83. You're at 76.
Dang.
When it comes to banking out the parlays, I'm 2-11. You're 5-8. So
I'll take that. I'll take that. That's fine. You could have the game by game. I will take the player prop team parlay. What are you, 2-11?
I'm 2-11 right now.
You got to stop making those picks.
I really do.
You got to stop. So, time for us to blitz the book. We go every game against the spread. Let's start in the New York Giants in a abhorrent spread. Plus 17 at home, the Giants are against the Baltimore Ravens. Cade, what do you like here?
I'll take the Ravens. I'm going to say they win big.
There's a big Fat Jack at FatJackSports.com joined Russo and Rizzo earlier in the year. Said when it's 14 and over, chances are it's going to go on the bigger side and it's going to be a blowout. I'll take the Ravens as well. That's the type of game where they blow them out of the water. Cincinnati's at Tennessee. They're favored by 6 in that one on the road.
Yep, I'll take them too.
I like
Offense is
Cincy
looking good.
As well. I like Cincy as well. They need a tune-up game. That is a tune-up game all over, and Tennessee stinks. Dallas at Carolina. Carolina, the first time in 34 games that they are no longer the underdog. They are favored in this one by 2.5 points at home against Dallas.
They've covered the spread each of the last 5 games, winning 2 of them. They are riding strong. Adam Thielen's healthy. I'm going to stick with the Carolina bandwagon.
I'm taking that as well. Carolina's trending upward. They need a bit of a shot in the arm to finish off the year, and so they can enter the offseason on a high note for once. Carolina, and that one I like it as well. Kansas City's on the road at Cleveland. They're taking on the Browns. They are favored by 4 in this one.
Both these teams love muddying up the scoreboard. I think Cleveland has something to play for at the end of this year, which is be the ultimate spoiler, having already beaten the Ravens and the Steelers. I'll give Cleveland the edge, +4. Not sure if they're going to win, but I think they make it close.
Yeah, Mike Rizzo and I took the Chiefs -4, and I really don't like it, but he said, trust me, and I don't trust him. So I honestly think the Browns are going to cover this one. But just off of my punchline picks, we took Kansas City. Going to have to go with that -4. This is a game. This has 20-17. This has 19-17. This has 16-11. This has something.
Every other Kansas City game, yes.
God, why are we going against that? Miami's at Houston. Miami's getting 2.5 points on the road. You alluded to it earlier. You're going to take Houston here?
I'm going to take Houston. I don't know why I keep trusting this team. They've let me down every time I've picked them, but I'm going to go with them again. I think the bye week is really going to help them at home.
I agree. I think they're going to trend upward in a weird way. I said earlier that desperation's a tool, but I don't think it's a tool that Mike McDaniel knows how to harness with that team. Give me the Houston Texans in this one, -2.5. Jets at Jacksonville, probably the most god-awful game you could possibly imagine. Jags are +3 at home in this one. I think the Jets are going to win this one.
I actually like Jacksonville. I think they play better at home, and I think Mac Jones finally connects with Brian Thomas Jr. for a big game.
Well, no Evan Engram for the rest of the year, too, so minus another pass catcher. I'm going to take the Jets -3 in this one on the road. New Orleans against the Washington Commanders. Commanders giving up 7.5 points on the road in this one. I like Washington this one easy.
Yeah, Commanders are also playing for their playoff lives. I'll take Commanders in a big one as well.
They need a tune-up game. This is it. Buffalo, Detroit. Big game, huge game in Ford Field. -2.5. Detroit is favored. Bills coming off a loss against the Los Angeles Rams. What do we like here?
I haven't necessarily loved the way Detroit's been playing. I'm going to take Buffalo +2.5 in this one.
I kind of agree. I think Detroit might be due for a game to lose. Buffalo got their weird loss out of the way. Second straight week in a dome on the road. I like the Bills here as well. Colts, Denver. I like the Colts +4. I think desperation's a tool. I think Shane Steichen's going to utilize that and harness it. That's my pick.
26-14 in favor of the Broncos. I think they get out to a big lead.
All right. You took the Broncos. I took the Colts. Cardinals and the Patriots. Cardinals giving up 6 at home against the Patriots. I like the Patriots here.
Really?
Yeah.
I like an offensive performance from Kyler Murray. I think this is a get-right game.
Maybe they need to I thought that get-right was game because it'd be last week, and they pummeled on my dreams. So I'm no longer going with Arizona. I'm going with the Patriots to play a little better. Drake May, they're a game on, game off. This will be their game on. Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. Philadelphia getting 5.5 in Philly.
Pittsburgh has never lost a game. Pittsburgh has never lost a game by 6 points all year long. I'll take the Steelers.
I agree. They're going to keep this game close. I think it's an easy one. Chargers, Buccaneers, -2.5. The Chargers are favored.
Give me Tampa Bay to play spoiler. This game is screaming Chargers, but I love the fiery, they feel like they're underdogs and they always play scrappy. I'll take the Bucs.
We're on this one a lot. We're thinking the same wavelength. I agree. I think that this is the game that favors Tampa Bay in terms of just go in and mess everything up. Chaotic. Finishing off Sunday Night Football, Green Bay, Seattle. Seattle at home, getting 2.5 points in this one.
Green Bay's been playing well lately. I'm going to take the Packers in this one tentatively because this could be a push. It's not a push, obviously, but this game could be really tight at the end.
I'm going to take Green Bay. They need a win in this building. They hate this building. They never win in this building. So that's my take on that one. Cade, your player prop team parlay to finish off the segment.
We've been talking about it all day. I'm going to take Denver -4. I'm also going to take the over on Adam Thielen's yards, which is only 50.5. He's been doing well lately. That's +250, and that's what I'm taking.
I'm going to take that Pittsburgh +5.5, and I'm going to take Lamar Jackson over passing yards 215.5. I think that's an easy one. That has been our player prop team parlay. I'm taking Pittsburgh, Lamar. We'll see what happens then. Hopefully I win my fantasy playoffs. Everybody enjoy your packed Week 15 slate of NFL football. We'll be back at it next week for the holiday edition as we enter closer to the holidays, but we appreciate everybody tuning in on Sunday Huddle presented by Hard Rock Bet. Big thanks to Cade for helping us out, keeping us on the air. We'll be back at it next week. Enjoy your football. Enjoy family, friends. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay focused. We'll be back at it next time on Sunday Huddle presented by Hard Rock Bet on ESPN 106.3.
The preceding program was paid for in full by Hard Rock Bet. Advice and opinions expressed during this program were solely those of the guests or hosts of this program and not of ESPN 106.3 or Good Karma Brands.